Donations pour in from Cuban exiles and other Miami communities to help hurricane survivors in Cuba. The headquarters of the Daughters of Charity is at the center of the relief drive. Charity spokesman Erick Aracil.
The Daughters of Charity is one of 5 groups that is authorized to bring humanitarian aid into Cuba. We are only allowed to bring food and medicine.
So far, the Catholic group has sent several containers to Cuba, which tightly controls imports. Other shipments have arrived from Venezuela and Russia, but Cuba has rejected similar offers from the U.S. government, saying Washington should instead lift a ban on credit sales to the island. On a recent trip to Miami, Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez repeated an offer to provide more than $5 million in supplies, and he accused Havana of playing politics over the U.S. trade embargo.
We don't understand what can be so important that it is bigger than the well-being of the people in Cuba. There are people in Cuba who are suffering.
Many Cuban Americans still support the 46-year-old embargo, but there is growing opposition to restrictions imposed by the Bush administration on remittances and family visits to Cuba. Opponents say putting more cash in Cuban hands will help families in trouble. Cuban family rights activist Alvaro Fernandez has opposed the limits since they were passed in 2004.
It's the perfect storm, no? Because of the situation, people who normally wouldn't have been in favor of such a thing are in favor of it right now. So why not? Now is a good time just because of the need. There's a real need, and it's going to get worse.
Relief groups say more than 2 million Cubans may have lost their homes in the recent hurricanes. The storms also ripped up crops, flooded businesses, and destroyed roads and power lines. Opponents of the U.S. limits say opening cash lines would speed rebuilding in Cuba. Commerce Secretary Gutierrez says the focus now should be on getting aid to Cubans, not policy issues.
To just say anyone can travel and send as much money as they want, we don't see how that political debate helps. All we want to do is to help the Cuban people.
Even with a temporary lifting on remittance limits, there is some concern about what impact U.S. dollars can have, says longtime exile Nerida Otero.
We send money, but that is not going to fix the situation, because there is nothing to buy. So we buy food to bring here to send to Cuba.
With less than 2 months from U.S. elections, Cuban exiles say it may be the next president's job to reconsider U.S. policy toward Cuba. Brian Wagner, VOA News.